Thank you, dear.
Hi, Alma.
How is everyone?
Great.
Good. Well, without further ado, welcome to the Rotary Club of Naperville. That was a loud ring. Today, just as a point of housekeeping, please be sure you're muted at this time through the program, unless you're speaking, and please use the chat for any comments because we want to hear from you. So I am looking forward to opening the meeting today with the Pledge of Allegiance. And it looks like there we go. Somebody, there we go. The Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led for us today by our International Service Committee Chair, Barry McCune.
Hey, please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you very much. Today, the song we're going to hear speaks to the grandeur of the land that we call home. In honor of Earth Month, here to perform This Land Is Your Land is friend of mine and friend of our club, Jake Mack.
Over the internet this time. First, here's a song written to remind us of the beauty of this great country and everything about it that unifies us, even if we must be somewhat confined for the time being. Here's Woody Guthrie's This Land Is Your Land. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking on the highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of red diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining and I was strolling and the wheat fields waving, dust cloud rolling, a voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining and I was strolling and the wheat fields waving, with the dust clouds rolling, the voice came chanting, the fog was lifting. And this land was made for you and me. So this land was made for you and me.
Thank you to Jake Mack. What a perfect song as we move into Earth Month. What a perfect song to remind us to be kind to Mother Earth. So thank you, Jake Mack. So as we move into April, Earth Month, let's all do our part, not only in April, but all year long. And today I'm really excited, and I was excited to see in the chat that we're joined by some folks that are definitely friends of the pollinators. So we're surrounded by some good karma today. We'll hear some ways that we can take care of our pollinators today, and I'm really looking forward to it. So before we move along and have a few other announcements and then our program, I'd like to ask if you would consider, please, those that we should lift up in our thoughts and prayers who could use our support at this time. There has been sad news coming from Honduras in the last day or so, as the Rotary Club of El Progreso lost their past president to COVID, and 10 members of the San Pedro Sula Club had COVID, including the doctor at the hospital that many of you may remember who joined us for a Zoom call a few months back. So they are struggling in that area, and I invite you to lift them and their good work up in your prayers. And please also lift up the Dick Galitz family, as Dick's brother Gordon, who lived in Texas, passed away this last week. I enjoyed sharing some moments over the phone in this past week with Dick about his brother, and it is clear to me that Dick is the quintessential big brother, not only to Gordon, but also to all of us. So Dick, we hold you and your family in our hearts and our prayers, and know that we lift you all up for healing. Are there others at this time that we should remember in our thoughts and prayers?
I lost a friend in the last couple of weeks, so just keep in mind the Williams family. William Williams was a teacher at Naperville North, so just keep the Williams family in your prayers.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Is there anyone else?
I have two I'd like to mention. I don't know whether Rotary members are aware that Casey Chitwood's mother passed away a couple of weeks ago. It was a complete surprise to everyone. And they're going through a very difficult time. I believe Casey is now home, but that she arrived back home in just in the past couple of days. So please keep her and her family in your prayers. And also a very dear friend and music colleague of mine, and so many in the area, Will Burke, the orchestra director at Waubonsie Valley High School, suffered a heart attack a week ago Friday and passed away. It's hit the music community in District 204 very hard. There is a scholarship fund that his son Ethan has started. He was hoping to raise $1,000. As of this morning, they've raised nearly $12,000. Set up a music scholarship for in Will's name. So his wife Andrea, very close personal and musical friend of mine, and their 3 children, really suffering right now. It's been very, very difficult. So lots and lots of prayers for them would be very appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, Molly, thank you. I had, and I'm sure most members had no idea about Casey's mother. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. That's very sad news. And the same way with Will in the music community locally. So Molly, thank you. Thank you for sharing that news. We have lots to pray for, lots to be thankful for. And is there anyone else that we should lift up at this time? All right, well, thank you all for that. So I would like to, again, say welcome to all of our members. Welcome to our guests. I extend a very special welcome today to Jamie Viebach from the Conservation Foundation, and we will hear from Jamie in a moment. I'm really looking forward to that. If you are a guest, please place your contact information into the chat so others may greet you and be in contact with you. And we're glad you're with us. To learn more about Rotary membership, Jackie Claremont is our membership chair, and she has her contact information in the chat, and welcome to you all. I'd like to ask Hillary Decent, editor for The Wheelhouse, and Lisa Berry, our communications chair, to take a virtual bow today for the launch of our new newsletter, The Wheelhouse. A new Wheelhouse will be out on the first and the third Monday of each month in your email inbox, so don't miss checking your email for Rotary. What a treat to have worked with you both on this initiative over the past few months, and congratulations to this great work and this launch. So if everyone would join me in giving a big round of applause to Hillary and Lisa. Thank you. So a couple other comments that I have here. I would like to make sure you know that next week's April 15th meeting is the committee chair update, where you will hear about all the many projects and activities taking place in our club's committees. It's a meeting that's packed with information, updates, and information that you won't want to miss. And I would like now to introduce Community Service Co-Chair Joe Nelson to make a special announcement. Joe?
Thanks, Alma. Good afternoon, everybody. As you can see on the slide in front of you, the second note there, our Rotary Week of Wellness and Service will be starting officially May 16th and basically going a whole week. But one event in particular we're really happy is taking place is the Dave Wentz Memorial Blood Drive. As you all may know or have heard, Dave was an integral part in developing and maintaining our relationship with the Red Cross, who we've done a handful of really impactful projects with since. And as recently as last November, we did our first blood drive in which Dave spearheaded the conversation, coordinated everything. And so this is our little way to have a blood drive in his honor and continue on with the legacy that he started. So our partnership with the Red Cross can continue to grow for months and years to come. So we'll be having more information sent out here shortly, but we wanted to make sure everybody got this date right away. This will take place at the Rubin Center on Sunday, May 23rd. I believe hours will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those interested, you'll receive a link to go sign up for your appointment time. And those of you who've done it in the past, myself included, it's very rewarding. You can reach out to me for any questions, but please do mark that on the calendar. And I believe Alma has a few other comments about the week of service and wellness that she'd like to share with us now.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. That's very important work. And Joe has been working very hard on this initiative. So thank you for that. I'd invite you all to stay tuned for this Rotary Week of Wellness and Service. The district initiative was for a day of service. And as Joe and I were talking, we thought there are so many things that we have planned, they cannot fit into a day. So we opted for the Rotary Week of Wellness and Service. So stay tuned. We will have these items mapped out for you so that it's easy for you to consume and understand, but know that we will have an amazing week during that week. So we really appreciate all of the volunteer effort that we're going to have that week. And I have a couple other announcements while we're on this slide. One of them, speaking of service, I'm very pleased to welcome Christy Sullivan, president of the Naperville Rotary After Dark Club, who is here to share an announcement with us. Christy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me today. Just a really quick announcement from the After Dark Club. As you know, as Rotary members, we believe we have a shared responsibility to take action on the world's most persistent issues, like eradicating polio. So our club has created this year, as you've probably known in the past, they've had the Ride to End Polio. And so this year we have the RAD Ride to End Polio. And we do have a goal to raise $3,000. We're going to do a virtual ride, which just means that you have to hop on your bike, whether that be in your home or outside on the many trails that we have, and put together your own virtual ride. And we're just asking for people to sign up and to become riders. And you're also able then to use our platform to ask for donations. We've partnered with a web host that provides this service for us, and it seems to be working very well so far. Or if you can't be a rider, you can go ahead and donate. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post that site in the chat. If you guys would just take a look at it, our ride is going to run from April 17th to May 16th. Like I said, our goal is to raise $3,000, but any dollar amount will help. It's $25 for the individual registration if you'd like to ride with us. I've been talking to Hunter and trying to come up with, a date, a time, and I'm putting him in charge of the trail to, ride around Naperville and log some hours for this virtual ride. So we just appreciate your support. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you're welcome back to join us anytime. So appreciate that. And let's everyone get behind the Rotary Ride. Great initiative. Thank you. So I'd also like to note that members have been asking about volunteer opportunities to assist with vaccinations. Our club jumped quickly on an invitation that I received for volunteers to help with the local Naperville effort this week. And I want to thank you for your help with that, Bill Johnson. And that local need had been filled fully in just a matter of hours. So we continue to seek those vaccination volunteer opportunities, and there will be a sign up for volunteers that will come to you this afternoon, not for this local initiative that I'm talking about, but for a volunteer effort that Pat Merriweather brought to us that she identified in Chicago in the next few days. So watch for that to come into your inbox later on today, and you'll be able to go in and individually sign up right from the link that you have. So know that we're continuing to keep our antenna out for local vaccination volunteer opportunities, as we all know that that's a very important thing for us to be involved in as we can. So next, I would like to remind you of the International Service Summit that will be coming up Saturday, May 1st. And through the information on the screen here and through information that is in the chat, you can register for that great conference. Empowering through education is the theme this year. And I also would like to remind you that today is the final date for nominations for the Paul Harris Community Service Awards. So if you have someone in the community that is a non-Rotarian that you would like to nominate, please find that link in the chat and make that nomination. So thank you for that. And so very finally, I'm very excited about today's program. Pollination is a district environmental initiative, as you all know. It happens to be a topic that is of personal interest to me over the last several years, as I have a pollinator-friendly backyard that is home to monarchs and hummingbirds and other pollinators each summer. In addition to what we will learn today, our club received a very nice invitation to tomorrow morning 7 a.m. meeting of Sunrise Rotary, where they will feature Chris Stein of the National Park Service he will speak about pollination as well. So that Zoom meeting link is in the chat also. So thank you to Mike for introducing us to join them in the morning at 7. So today, our program, Jamie Viebach, Will County Director of the Conservation Foundation in Naperville, has worked in environmental conservation since 2004. And with a master's in environmental biology, she has dedicated her career to teaching people about nature, science, and conservation. At the Conservation Foundation, Jamie's focus is on helping the people of Will County to approach their yards and their communities in a more environmentally meaningful way. Today, we'll look at some of the pollinators in our own backyards and how we can help them. So I am really pleased to welcome today, Jamie Viebach.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be here today. I see some familiar faces, which is awesome. Let me share my screen here. There we go. All right. And yes, as Alma mentioned, I am the Will County Director. Jan Rail, some of you may know her husband, Jeff, is my counterpart in DuPage County. So we at the Conservation Foundation serve Kane, Kendall, DuPage, and Will counties, as well as other areas where we see that we can be of some help. So I will try and keep this to 20 minutes. This talk is normally about an hour long, so I have condensed it a little bit here, and I will try to stick to my time limit. I get so excited about pollinators, though I could go on and on and on. So, but this is our mission here at the Conservation Foundation. Our goal is similar to Rotary, is we're trying to improve the health of our communities. And even though, you know, people see us and think we're a bunch of tree huggers, we are, but it also helps to protect our own health as well as that of our environment. We are an accredited land trust, which is kind of a big deal. There is a national organization that makes sure that we're doing everything financially correct, as well as environmentally correct, and all of that as well. So that was kind of a big deal that we got that accreditation. So why is it important to protect the land and our waterways? Well, water quality is huge. Areas like Joliet are running out of water. Joliet actually had to look into a new water source because their aquifer is running dry. They would have been out of water by 2030. So protecting our water quality is very, very important. Our air quality, I enjoy breathing. I don't know about you, but so protecting our air quality is also a big thing too. Wildlife habitat, protecting these open spaces so that our kids have a place to go out and play, our kids and our grandchildren, that responsibility to future generations to make sure they can enjoy all these outdoor experiences that we currently enjoy. So I'm going to talk a lot about using native plants, and you know, a lot of people ask, well, why does it matter? Why can't we just put in any pretty old thing into our ground? Well, first of all, native plants are 50 to 60% less costly to maintain, as well as taking less time to maintain as well. And I don't know about you, but as much as I like my yard and I like being out in my yard, I don't want to be spending my entire life trying to maintain this. So anything that helps to cut down on the time and effort that it takes to take care of my yard is great. And when we put in these beautiful plants for pollinators, we get these little guys, right? The caterpillars that are going to become our butterflies and our moths and those other really important pollinators. They need something to eat. And many of them are very, very specific about what they will eat. So those plants are the native ones that are here. And when we get these caterpillars, we also get the birds. So as a lot of our spring migrants are coming back into the area again, they're going to start nesting and they're going to start raising their young. If you've ever watched an adult bird feed a baby, it's kind of violent, right? They take that insect, that piece of food, and they cram it down that baby's throat. Something like a cricket or a grasshopper has lots of pointy ends to it. A caterpillar is very soft-bodied and it's nutrient dense. It's got even more protein than beef, and it's got all of these phytochemicals and things that these baby birds need to grow up healthy and to have the bright colored plumage that they need to find a mate. And they're really what these baby birds need to be eating. So providing those plants provides space for the caterpillars, which then provides food for our birds. And yeah, we have to complete our circle of life here too. Sometimes that also means providing food for our raptors, our hawks, and our owls. I heard a pair of owls calling my backyard last night. It was really cool. So when we have these native plants, it helps to create a healthy ecosystem in our whole yard. And native plants also, part of the reason why they are so much less to maintain is because they have these really deep root systems. So if you take a look, these plants on the left, these are all exotic things that we've brought in from Europe and Asia. The plants on the right are ones that are adapted to our environments here. So that really hard packed clay soil that we have, our wet springs, our hot, dry summers, they don't care. These long root systems that they have, they can continue to take care of themselves even when those top couple inches of soil dry out in the summertime. You take a look at that Kentucky bluegrass, there's hardly any root to that. They just go down about 2 to 3 inches, as opposed to buffalo grass, which looks very, very similar, but it's got roots that go down several feet. So having these native plants in our yards keeps them looking greener, brighter, and for longer than these exotic things that we bring in. It also helps to make the landscape functional. I like this picture. I kind of call it the tale of two cities here. We've got On the left, our typical lawn, there's a nice oak tree there, so that's great. Oak trees are great for our ecosystems. But on the right, look at all those native plants. We've got a nice terraced system that also helps to hold the rainwater where it falls, keeps it from washing off. When you've got grass, the rain hits that grass and it just sort of sails right across the surface into whatever nearby body of water you have. Whereas with the native plants, because they drill those holes down into the soil, they can help soak up so much more of that water. And that terrace system there too, when you have a hillside, also does the same thing. But if you look at that grass, how brown it is compared to those plants on the right that are so much more vibrant and full of life and prettier, I guarantee you there are little native bees and butterflies and things all over that, as opposed to the grass, which basically just sits there and does nothing. So really great example here of what a native installation can look like. So one of the questions I get, because I did just mention bees, is, oh my goodness, I don't want to bring in lots of bees. I don't want to get stung. I'm here to tell you not to worry. Our native bees, there are here in Illinois between 400 and 500 species of native bees. This does not include honeybees because honeybees are not native. They're an agricultural animal, much like chickens, pigs, and cows. They've been brought in from Italy. But when we plant for honeybees, when we talk about honeybees, it's kind of that rising tide lifts all ships. So benefiting honeybees also benefits all these native bees as well. The interesting thing about bees is our native bees are not interested in stinging you. They have way too much work to do. They're not interested. You have to really go after them and really try to get stung. That carpenter bee there that you see down in the lower left, the males, they don't even have stingers. So we have camp kids who, will kind of play with them. They're like big flying teddy bears, but they're really way too busy. You look here, as opposed to the yellow jackets that you see on the left-hand side, you can kind of see the difference between the honeybee and the yellow jacket. Yellow jackets are a wasp. They're more carnivores. They do eat some pollen and nectar, but these are the ones that you're going to see flying around the garbage cans, flying around your can of pop or your bologna sandwich. Our native bees are not nearly that aggressive. Bees, their stingers have a barb on the end, much like a fish hook. So when they sting, it actually rips out part of their abdomen. They're going to die. They know this. That's why they only sting as kind of a last resort. As opposed to the yellow jackets, their stinger is more like a hypodermic needle. They can sting over and over and over again. And I swear sometimes they fly away laughing. So we don't have to worry about these native bees being more likely to sting us because they're really just not. They're going to be going about their little bee business and leaving us alone. So if we're going to be planting for pollinators, we need to understand something about their life cycle. So I am known around the office as the crazy monarch lady because I raise monarchs throughout the summer. So this is kind of a passion of mine. But if you take a look, that little pale creamy colored dot that you see there next to the pencil point, that is a monarch egg. That's how small they are. They lay these eggs on the underside of milkweed plants. They are teeny, teeny, tiny. And after a couple of days, they hatch into a caterpillar. When they first hatch out, the caterpillars are about the size of 1/3 of a grain of rice. Okay, so you could fit 3 of these caterpillars on 1 grain of rice. They are tiny. They then proceed to eat and poop and eat and poop for 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, they are going to be about a little bit bigger than my pinky finger here. And so 2 weeks, that's their only job. And at the end of 2 weeks, they're going to make this chrysalis. Their chrysalis is absolutely beautiful. It looks like an artist made it. It's got these little gold dots all over it. They're unbelievably gorgeous. And it's really cool the way they do it because I guarantee however you think they do it, you are probably wrong. So they attach their back legs to the leaf, they hang upside down, and after about a day, they start to kind of wiggle a little bit and the skin at the top of their head splits open. It's kind of like a snake shedding its skin. And that skin just kind of goes all the way back up the end of it. And that chrysalis is underneath. So that chrysalis has been inside that caterpillar's body. It's so bizarre, but really, really amazing. After spending about 2 weeks inside that chrysalis, where their body basically turns to goo, And then somehow it magically forms into a butterfly. It's really unbelievable, and it fascinates me every time. And I could go on and on and on about it. But anyway, so that's what their life cycle is like. So if you're going to have a butterfly garden, you need to have host plants, which is the food that the caterpillar will eat, along with nectaring plants, which is the food that the adults will eat. So you got to kind of think about those two things. The host plants are usually fairly specific. In the case of monarchs, for example, they will only eat milkweed. We've got a couple of different kinds of milkweed that'll grow here in Illinois, but that's all they're going to eat. So if you want to bring monarchs to your yard, you have to plant milkweed. Nectaring plants are generally a little less specific. As long as their mouth parts can fit inside that flower, they will generally eat it. But like with any other living thing, they need food, water, and shelter. So now we've got our food figured out. Water, you want to have a little dish, something that's not too deep because we don't want them to drown in there. Sand will also leach out some minerals and things that they need as well. So having a nice little sandy dish with some water in it, some rocks, especially dark colored rocks that they can sit on and warm up. Since they're not warm-blooded creatures like we are, they need to have somewhere where they can warm themselves up in the morning. So having some dark colored rocks out there are really good for them. And the shelter, that's a little bit of a joke on my part. They really need things with, larger leaves, some dense foliage, shrubs, things like that, where they can hide if it's rainy out like it is today, or super windy, or just at night, having a place where they can sort of chill out and be safe. So as we mentioned, monarchs need milkweed. So you can see that monarch caterpillar there eating that milkweed leaf. Common milkweed is the one that we see on the roadsides a lot. It gets to be about 6 feet tall. I don't recommend it for your front lawn because it can get kind of out of control. But if you got a back wild area along a fence line or something like that, it can work. Swamp milkweed is the one there down on the lower left. That's got that bright purple flowers. It grows up to about waist high. So that's a really nice one to put in your gardens. Monarchs, it is one of their preferred species, but it's got really, really pretty purple flowers on it. There in the lower right, you see those bright orange flowers. That's called butterfly weed or butterfly milkweed. That one grows up to about knee high and is very, very striking in a landscaping bed. So highly recommend that one. The one in the middle is called green milkweed. It's just another interesting type that we've got. And there are several others that you can find around too. Basically, any kind of milkweed that you can find to put in your yard, except for tropical. Tropical is not native here. We don't want that one. But the rest of them are all great to have in your gardens. This is another type of butterfly called a pearl crescent. They like asters. So that's the host plant for their caterpillar, any kind of asters. So we've got New England asters, and that you can see down there in the pictures. Asters are a great flower to plant too because they bloom in the fall. So as you may have noticed, as things start to die back in the fall, there are fewer flowers. There's less for these guys to eat. Monarchs make that yearly migration down to Mexico. They need fuel. And so anything that blooms in the fall that they can eat is great fuel for them that will help them to make it all the way down to their wintering grounds in Mexico. So asters are a great nectar plant for many different types of butterflies, but they are the host plant for this little cute pearl crescent butterfly. Moths are another really important pollinator we don't often think about because we don't see them, and they're not maybe as pretty, even though I've got some very pretty examples for you here. Hummingbird moths, you may have noticed, they tend to be out during the day, and they are about the size of a hummingbird. They are huge, and they've got those clear wings on them. Really gorgeous. I had some in my my rain garden last year. The Isabella tiger moth may not be one that you've seen before, but I guarantee you've seen the caterpillars, those woolly bear caterpillars that are sort of dark brown and orange that come out in the fall, and people think that they can predict how severe the winter is going to be based on that orange band. That turns into an Isabella tiger moth. Luna and Cecropia moths are another one that are really pretty. They are about the size of my hand. They are humongous. So if you get to see one of those, that's really special. But in the entire family that includes butterflies and moths, about 90 to 95% of them are moths. So it's a big family. And again, butterflies get all the attention because they're so cute and pretty, and we see them out during the day, but moths are really doing the lion's share of the work there. So if you're trying to figure out what to plant in your yard that's going to bring out the butterflies, this is a good place to start. According to Doug Tallamy, who's done a ton of work on the idea of planting native in your yard, he's got a couple of books out. I highly, highly recommend them. These 5 genus, so that if you think about the scientific name, they've got that first name and then the second name. That first part is the genus. These 5 genus support 75% of all the insect life that we have here. So the black-eyed Susans, the goldenrods, the asters, the milkweed, and the oaks. A lot of times we forget that trees are actually host species for these insects as well. So oaks are a great thing to put in your yard. One of Doug's studies, he looked around an oak tree in his yard. He just walked all the way around this oak tree and he counted several hundred different insect species using that oak tree. He walked around I think it was a Callery pear or some other non-native tree in his neighbor's yard, and he counted maybe 10. So it kind of gives you an idea of just how important these native plants are to our pollinators. And you don't have to put in an entirely new bed in your yard or, rip out all of your landscaping to put all natives in. You can just start by replacing things or adding them to your existing landscape. So Coreopsis, like you see up there in the upper left, that's a great, really pretty flower that comes out in the summer, very striking orangey yellow flowers. The blazing star that you see down there in the lower left, that's another one. That is a butterfly magnet. You plant those, you will have butterflies and native bees just covering it. They love it. Butterfly milkweed, as we saw in the top middle. Cardinal flower down there in the bottom middle. Again, really pretty, striking red flowers. Yarrow in the upper right. That's another one. The leaves on it are very lacy and delicate looking. It adds a really nice texture to a flower bed. And then we don't want to forget the shrubs down there in the lower right. We've got a spice bush there. That's the host plant to a really cool butterfly called the spice bush swallowtail. So with the Conservation Foundation, we have a program called Conservation at Home, where you can give us a call and invite one of us to come out to your yard. We'll walk around your yard with you and talk about native plants. If you're just starting out, we can give you some ideas on where to start, or maybe your yard is already full of native plants, in which case it's a certification program. So we can certify your yard. You'll be part of our program. You'll get that little sign that you can put up in your yard that tells your neighbors, hey, I know what I'm doing. We've got over 1,000 certified properties as part of this program. So we're really proud of it because, the more properties we have certified, the more people are planting native in their yards. Couple of different landscape styles that you might want to think about. Everybody's style is a little bit different. This one I call native but neat. We've got nice little neatly clustered clumps of different flowers, some grasses for structure. Looks very neat. Or maybe your style is more the wild and free, where you just kind of want to put a prairie in your backyard. And I advise kind of keeping this to the backyard because sometimes our neighbors don't quite share our style ambitions. But having this mix of plants is great too, because it brings in a variety of insects to your yard as well. If you are interested in getting involved with the Conservation Foundation, we are a nonprofit and a member-based organization. So you can become a member, and you can also visit our McDonald farm in Naperville. We also have our Dixon Merst farm in Montgomery. Our farm is open. We're not like a public place, but you're welcome to come walk around. We've got a beautiful children's garden that we just redid last year. We are redoing the landscaping beds by our clow house. We've got restored prairie. We've got a restored wetland, and we are a working farm. So of our 60 acres, 49 of them are farmed organically as part of our CSA program, where you can buy shares of our produce. You can also buy produce from our farm stands during the summer. Once a week, I'm not sure, it was usually like Thursdays, or it was either Tuesdays or Thursdays last year. No, it was Thursdays. But once a week, we've got a little farm stand set up in front, and you can pull up and buy some produce. So if you have any questions, there is my contact information. As I mentioned, as the Will County Director, if you live in Will County and you're interested in our Conservation at Home program, you can give me an email there. That's my desk line, and I have been working from home, but if you leave me a voicemail, I do get them in my email. So if you are in DuPage County, you can email gonative@theconservationfoundation.org, and they will get you to the right person there. All right, and that's what I've got. So hopefully I didn't go too over my time there.
Jamie, you were perfect.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know about all of you, but I learned a lot. And I identified some of the butterfly weed, the milkweed and so forth that I've enjoyed in my backyard. So thank you. I would invite everyone to consider asking Jamie a question that you might have. What a treat to have such an expert with us. And I think we all should take advantage of that. So I'd invite anyone that has questions to raise their hand and toss it out.
Hi, this is Josh. I just have a comment, Jamie.
Yeah.
Hello to Brooke and Stephen McCracken.
Oh, okay.
I have been to your place a few times. One thing I recently learned, about the bees, actually in Bosnia and Croatia, that region, they're doing a lot of research for these bees. Actually, they can find underground mines, they detect. There's some chemistry.
Really?
They can go there and find these mines because, the Bosnian War, they found, a lot of mines were there in the land.
Right.
And now the latest thing is, of course, people are not,
It's 1 o'clock.
They're afraid actually to go after the bees. So now they have a drone technology. The drones will follow the bees.
Oh, interesting.
And then try to find the mines. So there's an application of the bees. So bees are very friendly that way to detect underground mines in lots of the places of the world, because they're planted. Many of these mines still undetected. We don't know when they're going to blow up and things like that. They're friendly that way to the humanity.
Oh, very interesting. I hadn't heard that. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, animals are really interesting. The way that they can find things and sort of smell them out, or however they're finding them. Yeah, that's very cool.
Hey, Jamie,
yeah,
quick, if you don't mind, in my butterfly garden was last year I had monarch caterpillars, and it was so exciting. I had about 10 of them, and then they just kept dwindling. So I did put some in a net just to kind of keep them safe. And I had 3 fly away.
Nice.
Should I have let them do their own thing, or will they be back this year, or do you know?
So they should be back this year. As far as raising them, it's sort of a mixed thing. So it's something like it's between like 1% and 5% of all the eggs that are laid will actually grow up to become adults. So that's a really low rate, and our instinct is to want to help them and to bring them in and raise them and release them, and that's great. It's a great educational opportunity, especially with kids. I have a 12-year-old. We started doing this maybe like 5 years ago, and listening to him tell all of his friends about it is really cool. Doing that, we are not going to save them all ourselves, unfortunately, but the education is worth it. The passion, the excitement that we build up around it, in my opinion, is totally worth it. There are some studies out there that show that some of the ones that are raised indoors may have some issues migrating, but that's only the last generation. We have like 4 generations up here. Again, in the long run, given the numbers, is it really going to make a difference in the long run? Probably not. But as far as educating people and getting people to love and care for these and to encourage people to plant more milkweed in their yards, that, in my opinion, it makes it worth it.
Jamie, I had a kindergarten project. We planted over 100 pots, 2 seeds to a pot.
Nice.
And the kids watched with a lot of expectation. But I didn't know, and we soon found out that milkweeds have a 1/3 germination each year. So our kindergarten kids, either they were very proud or very sad until we found out about this. So don't be disappointed, everyone, if you get 1/3, because next year you'll get the rest of them.
Yes, that's an excellent point. It can be kind of hard to start milkweed from seed, especially because it's not the kind of thing where you can just take the seeds and put them in the ground and expect them to grow in the spring.
Right.
They have to go through what they call stratification. In other words, they have to go through a winter and have freeze and thaw to actually crack open that seed coat so that they can germinate. So it can be a little tricky to get them to germinate from seed.
We kept ours in the refrigerator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sort of mimic that cycle in the refrigerator. So there's all kinds of information online about how to do that right. But there's a lot of native plants that are like that.
We finally planted them in Springbrook.
Okay.
And I think, and we had a lot of help from the county.
Nice. Yeah, the county is pretty good with that.
Where do you get the seeds to allow you to grow native plants? How can you get them?
Pods.
You can collect pods from a gardener. There are plenty of people I know who have these in their yards that are more than happy to share seed pods with you. You can purchase them from a place like Prairie Moon Nursery or Prairie Nursery. One of them is out of Wisconsin and one is out of Minnesota, but they both have plants that are native to this area. Those two are my favorite mail order nurseries. You can also buy seedlings. There are tons of native plant sales that are going on this spring. So we have ours coming up. Orders begin May 1st, unless you're a member, and then you can get in a day early. So there you go. If you want to become a member, you can get in a day early on April 30th to order from our plant sale. Otherwise, I know like Will County Forest Preserve District has their plant sale. They sold out pretty quick though, I think. I'm not sure that they've got too much left. But a lot of the forest preserves, DuPage County, I know has a plant sale. And a lot of the native plant societies have plant sales too. So you can, I think the Arboretum even has one too. So lots of plant sales there. And to order for our plant sale, you'll go on our website. So if you sign up for our emails, you'll get an email letting you know when that goes live. Otherwise, you can just visit our website on May 1st.
I have a question with regard to a naturalized garden. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of hostas, quite a few, but bluebells and other things. But there is one problem I saw at the end of your program. You talked about your garden and it has to be, there's a food chain. Mm-hmm. Something's eating all the time in that. The thing that I'm calling about is right after Easter, it's appropriate, is rabbits. Mm-hmm. They're very nasty and you put time and money into certain plants and yet the rabbits don't care. Question is there any kind of a naturalized thing that you can think of that would just deter the rabbits from eating your plants and go to maybe a neighbor's?
You know what, this is a very common question, and it's one of those things that when you plant for the ecosystem, we're going to get the ecosystem. So there are some things that you can try. I've heard of people having mixed success with these. A small fence while things are young and getting established. Rabbits, once things start to get a little bit bigger, a little bit later into the season, seem to be a little less interested, or maybe there's just more for them to eat at that point in time. So a little fence that they can't get over or dig under. Another product that is out there is a synthetic coyote urine that you can buy from a place like Home Depot, and you just sort of spray it around the outside edge, and that's supposed to deter them. I think you have to reapply it like when it rains, but that can help them to be a deterrent as well. there's a lot of different things that people have tried, you know, hanging up pie tins so that the reflection or the glinting of sunlight off of them can sometimes be a deterrent. Yeah, we got to get creative with them sometimes because they are very determined. That's for sure.
Thank you.
I see a question about the 17-year locust, and that's a great question because we've been seeing it all over the news lately. I'm here to tell you we've got 3 more years. That is the one that's coming out that everybody's been talking about is like the, what is it, Brood X, I think, and that is not here. So it's in Southern Illinois, it's in Indiana, it's, you know, across some of this area. The brood that we have here in the Chicago region is not due out for another 3 years. So we have some time. But 2024, get ready for the trees to scream. One other thing I wanted to mention really quick, I am also the host of our Conservation Online webinar series. For about the last year, I started a Conservation Online. It's a free webinar series we do every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We have a wide variety of topics, but all conservation related. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's other people. I get special guests in. And one that you all may be interested in is Chris Stein, who is with Operation Pollination National Park Service, is going to be talking about Operation Pollination on April 28th. So if you are interested, you can register. I put the link in the chat. There, I just put it in the chat again. If you are interested in registering, it's a free program. And so he's going to be talking about Operation Pollination. And then we're also going to have somebody from the I&M Canal, which is the I&M Canal corridor is a heritage site, and they're going to be talking about their site and Operation Pollination there, I think, as well.
Hi, Jamie and everyone on the call. You gave me a perfect segue. I am past District Governor Tina Hall, originally from District 6220, but now over in 5970, which is Northeast Iowa. And I work with Chris Stein on Operation Pollination. And just like Jamie said that she has an ongoing webinar, we have an ongoing webinar on Fridays, usually twice a month, for Rotarians interested in pollinators and pollinator projects. And we try to feature partners and project ideas. And I know, I'm pretty sure your district is one of the districts that has signed an overarching pledge for, or a resolution for Operation Pollination. And actually my district just signed at the district level, modeling your district, the same thing. So we're getting more and more Rotary clubs and districts really interested in pollinators, and we're going to have a number of features this spring on how a Rotary group can do a pollinator project and just all the ways a Rotary club could go with the idea of pollinators. And in fact, tomorrow, and I did put the link on the chat for our Zoom tomorrow at noon Central Time, we are actually having another former district governor who actually directs the U.S. Monarch Sister School program, which is nothing to do with Rotary, but it's just an amazing coincidence that we have a Rotarian who is leading this nonprofit program, and it's a great way that Rotary clubs can link a project in their area to an international project in Mexico. So if you have any interest, please get on that Zoom. But Chris and I are collecting ideas every week about more ideas and ways that clubs can get involved in pollinator projects. And this is another great example today. And I love the idea with your signs of, certifying people's yards. That's just great. So thanks.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I should mention too, we do have a Conservation at Work sister program. So it's basically for non-residential properties. So when you put in the pollinator garden, wherever you're planning on doing it, we can certify it and get you a sign for it.
That is good to know. I didn't realize you had the at work program. I love that. Great information all around. And in addition, I mentioned earlier, but I'll say again in the chat, is a link to Sunrise Rotary's meeting tomorrow morning at 7. Chris Stein is going to be a presenter there as well. So everything you'd ever want to know about pollinators, you can cram it all into this week and learn a lot. So Jamie, I sincerely appreciate you being here today. It was really an honor to have you spend your time with us and share a wealth of knowledge. And I hope everyone snapped your contact information. We'll make sure everyone has it if they did not. And I'm sure you'll be getting a few calls from us. So really appreciate you spending the time. So thank you very much. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're here. I sent a link to Tina Hall this morning to join us.
Terrific.
She got it and she made some comments. So I made your day.
You did. You did. Thank you. Thank you, Prakash. I can always count on you. I appreciate that.
What are Rotarians for, huh?
Exactly. Thank you. And with just a couple minutes left, I am going to ask our Sergeant Laura to speak to us about what she's up to. So Laura, take it away here.
Well, hello everybody. It's kind of fun because now we can say that our dollars we have reached our initial goal, meaning we have $20,000 plus raised, plus some dollars that came back from scholarships from last year that weren't able to be used. So we truly have hit our goal, but we're not allowed to stop. So it was very nice of Bill Johnson to let me know that in the chat so that I can share it with everybody and appreciate everyone's generosity. I'm hoping that we have still some happy bucks and things that people want to share because, we are pollinators, just like those plants. We're pollinating these students and hoping they can become productive. So anybody have some good news to share today? I'm sure there's somebody out there. All because we raised all our money, nobody wants to say anything positive. Come on, you guys. Pretty soon I'm going to start calling on you.
Or pretty soon we're going to start getting a phone call from you, Laura.
I know. If I had the time, I might do that, but lately it's been a little too crazy for that. So, well, I think it's great news. And I know a lot of people did donate last week at our 80th, and that was pretty awesome. And we really, really appreciate it. So maybe we'll give everybody a week off and I'll be back at it and, crack the whip next week. So have a great week, everyone. And great program today.
Laura, thank you. Thank you very much. If anyone has a late thought, the link is in the chat and you can certainly go in and take advantage of that. So Laura, thank you. Awesome job this year. Really, really appreciate your help.
Thanks.
Quote for this week that is very relevant. I believe Lady Bird Johnson, President Johnson's first lady, said the environment is where we all meet, where we all have a mutual interest. It is one thing that all of us share. It is not only a mirror of ourselves, but a focusing lens on what we can become. Thought that was very relevant for today. So with that note, I would like all of us to join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I'd like to say thank you for being here today, everyone, all of our guests. I'd like to remind you to be well, to do good, wear a mask, do the right thing, get vaccinated at the first moment that you can. And with that, have a wonderful weekend and thank you.
And